With YouTube attacking alternative media, please consider supporting the channel via Patreon for just $1 per month. Link below.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is $3 Theater, and oh my god. Yesterday, of course, after I wrapped shooting for the day, news breaks about, well, Jon Favreau's Star Wars series and what it's going to be called, as well as giving us a little bit of information about what to expect. Now, this series, all we've known about up until this point is that they had ordered it. Jon Favreau was going to be executive producing, writing, and directing some of the episodes, which got fans, I would say, naturally excited, considering the fact that that Favreau is a fan favorite in a lot of different ways. And then it was going to be 10 episodes, and it was going to be on Disney's streaming service, Disney Play. I don't know. Do they? Every time I keep hearing a name for it, they keep changing it and saying, well, we don't know for certain what it's going to be called. But then we heard it was going to have a $100 million budget, which breaks down to about $10 million per episode. $10 million per episode. To put that into perspective, and I've brought this up before, Game of Thrones is $6 million an episode on average. So Disney ain't messing around with this one. And considering the fact that Bob Iger had announced that Disney was going to be slowing down with its release of Star Wars films and focusing more on television, it seems to make sense that they're going to want to make sure that the number one story out of the gate is going to be one that is going to do well, one that is going to hit a real home run and bring a lot of people to the Disney streaming service. But let's be fair. Even without Star Wars, that thing was going to do great anyway, right? We all know it. We all know it. It's just, I'm not complaining. I'm merely pointing out the obvious here. But with this, we now know that it's going to be called Star Wars: The Mandalorian, and that was announced yesterday by Jon Favreau on Twitter, and it came with a little bit more information. Now, it says here, a mere 3 days after Lucasfilm chief Kathleen Kennedy saw her contract extended for another 3 years, filmmaker Jon Favreau revealed via Instagram the title and premise of his upcoming live-action Star Wars show. Now, there's a timing issue here. I think for one, New York City Comic-Con is happening right now, so that's going to tie into that. Kathleen Kennedy got a lot of negative press from, well, there was a big online blowout over her contract being extended. You had the Russian troll bot thing for The Last Jedi, which no one believes, so they needed some good positive press, so why not release the premise for The Mandalorian? And without further ado, although I'm pretty sure at this point you probably already read what's on the screen, it says here, The Mandalorian. After the stories of Jango and Boba Fett, another warrior emerges in the Star Wars universe. The Mandalorian is set after the fall of the Empire and before the emergence of the First Order. We followed the travails of a lone gunfighter in the outer reaches of the galaxy, far from the authority of the New Republic. So before, when we learned about the Outer Rim, so to speak, it was always out of the control of the Empire. The Empire never really messed with that. And even the Outer Rim, when it was the Republic, never really messed with that, as evidenced by, I want to say it was in Phantom Menace. So ultimately, the Outer Rim has kind of been the Wild West of Star Wars. Tatooine, I kind of feel was on the Outer Rim, even though I could be wrong on that one. But I always kind of felt that was the case, especially from what we saw in Phantom Menace being on Tatooine, and well, also Star Wars and everything else. I feel like these like these desert planets are kind of meant to be the far off, like Jakku and Tatooine are meant to be outside of the reach of these particular political, powerhouses that control everything. So what's going to be interesting here, just from the authority of the New Republic, because, well, who's going to run the New Republic? Mon Mothma, Leia, being a big part of that one. Everyone else, Admiral Akbar, clearly, right? Maybe Luke, maybe Han Solo. I don't know. But this takes place roughly 8 years after the events of Return of the Jedi. And so it's going to clearly be about dealing with the power struggle as the New Republic takes over from the fallen Empire, and what kind of things we're going to see from this particular Mandalorian character. Now, we do know that ultimately, going back to Star Wars 1313 was going to be a game about Boba Fett, about the Mandalorian, and that was canceled. And I don't know if they're going to be tied together. I don't think so. But I've been really curious to know what drew Favreau to telling this particular story. Now, obviously, the character here, whoever the main character is going to be an anti-hero. It's going to be a gunfighter, probably a bounty hunter, probably one of those type of mercenary type characters that is going to do things for money, but ultimately get caught up in some kind of story that's going to be to protect people or to help people or to save the day. Anti-heroes tend to generally have that particular arc, all while having a bit of a wonky moral compass to get there. And again, I'm not worried about that at all. I'm not bothered by that. I think if anyone out here is going to be able to tell this kind of story in the way that's going to be palatable for Disney, and still engaging and intriguing, is this guy right here, is Favreau. Because he's a very talented writer, a very talented director, and coming off of like even Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2, The Jungle Book, Cowboys versus Aliens, another fun movie with some anti-hero type characters. Even some could argue that that in the beginning of Iron Man, he was a bit of an anti-hero. Not so much so, but I mean, like, he just, his journey, his particular arc, from being a drunken war profiteer to being a superhero, that sort of thing. And we saw a little bit of that in Cowboys and Aliens as well, as a result of Daniel Craig's arc. That would have ultimately been Robert Downey Jr. had he not been busy with another movie, but I'm off topic. So when I look at this sort of thing, and we're going to be dealing a lot with probably the remnants of the Empire, because it wasn't like a clean break. There was going to be remnants of the Empire still out there. So I'm wondering if and this is before the First Order, and the First Order was essentially birthed from the ashes of the Empire, which leads me to question whether or not Snoke had, where he played a role in all of this, in building the First Order. So I'm wondering if we're going to get more info on Snoke, more background on that particular character, if that's going to lead to a much larger, plot developments, right? And it's one of the things I'm excited about checking out with Star Wars Resistance when the show premieres on Sunday, because even that's going to give us more backstory to Poe Dameron as well as Captain Phasma, two characters that kind of got a little bit on the short end of the stick when it came to that in the movies. So it does appear to me that whatever's going to happen here is going to end up really kind of dealing with the fallout from the events of Return of the Jedi. Maybe whatever Luke's been up to in regards to trying to find and create a new Jedi Academy, if that's going to play into any bit of this at all, so on and so forth. But I also wonder, and this is just a question that I have, if they decide to bring in a younger Luke Skywalker at some point to tangle with this Mandalorian or to team up with this Mandalorian, which they could. And we know fans would lose their shit if they brought back Luke Skywalker. Obviously, it wouldn't be Mark Hamill, but Sebastian Stan has been a dead ringer for young Mark Hamill for a while, even as far as Mark Hamill to sit there and say, "Happy birthday, son," on Twitter a couple of years ago, and blew Twitter up. So it's entirely possible that this is what we're going to see out of this, and this is what's going to happen. So I don't know, but I'm hoping that it's going to be something cool. Again, my faith is in Favreau. I think he's going to be able to nail it. It does feel like TV is going to be where this goes. By the way, Dave Filoni, I believe, is confirmed to direct a couple episodes of this series as well. So I think that's going to bring in a lot of Star Wars fans. And I think that turning towards television is going to be a way to hopefully reinvigorate the fan base a bit in order to help maybe bridge the gap where we currently find ourselves. All I really care about at this point is just good content. And this story sounds pretty cool just from the general premise, and I do await for more information. And of course, as soon as I know more, you'll know more. So if you guys did make it this far, please be sure to thumbs up the video, comment below, type in Mandalorian in the chat so I know you guys made it, and be sure to subscribe and thumbs up and all that stuff. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a fantastic day, and peace out.